Have you ever wondered how much you're going to need to retire? Be sure to watch today's video because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Frank Thomas here from Wealth Generation Strategies, and today I'm diving into the big question. How much do you need to retire? I wish this question was straightforward, but it isn't. Hopefully, though, we can shed some light on your circumstances and even possibly arrive at a ballpark figure that would be good for you into retirement. In truth, this is actually a question I've been wrestling with for some time. Initially, I took the simple route and estimated I need, let's say 1.5 million to save. Why? Because at 5% withdrawals on a $1.5 million works out to about $75,000 per year. And considering government pensions, it would allow my wife and myself to retire comfortably without depleting our funds. The deeper I dived into this question, though, there is a lot of things that I just didn't think about that influences the amount needed. The long and short of it, though, is that this number can be a lot less, and this will probably be the same for you. So first off, let's dive into the factors that will influence the final number for you and myself. When do you want to retire 100%? That's the very first question. In other words, you're no longer working for a paycheck or bringing money into the equation outside of your retirement stash. Let me share my thoughts on my situation, and maybe it'll shed some light for you. It's a bit scary to consider that I'll no longer be contributing to society in a job somewhere. I honestly just can't imagine not having problems to solve and feeling that gratification of a job well done. For me, though, this does change things a bit. Now, don't get me wrong, I want shorter work weeks and extended holidays, but I just don't want to have nothing to put my mind to. That for me is just a tad scary. So I don't believe that I'll ever 100% retire. I did come to that realization that it's okay to migrate to a part-time work position. Not necessarily for the money, but it doesn't hurt either. I've been very fortunate in that I can work a lot less hours because my hourly rate is probably twice what I need if I worked full-time and had to pay all the bills. So I have that ability to work part-time, so to speak. Next is the consideration of what your retirement expenses will be. Take a moment and break down your budget to see what will stay and what will go when you retire. For me, I'd like to be in a position where my living expenses are greatly reduced. This may look like a mortgage that's paid in full, or possibly living in a smaller place where expenses are not as high. The possibilities are pretty much endless, and it's actually kind of exciting, to be honest with you. So do think about it and don't let it be daunted by it. It is an exciting process, is what I'm saying. Also, a lot of expenses like transportation, car repairs, extra life insurance, and the like will just go away. Again, all of these things can reduce your expense needs by an easy 25 to up to 40%. So do you know what you think your expenses will look like in retirement? This is an important question you need to answer. Also, consider that you may spend more on the front end of retirement while you're in the go-go stage, and as you age, you're going to spend less as you migrate to the slow-go and no-go stages. This can reduce your overall capital need or increase it, depending on your retirement needs and general spending. Life expectancy and age of retirement. These two factors go hand in hand. Are you considering retiring at 40 or 70? You're going to need a lot more reservoir if you're planning to live another 40 or 50 years than to live another 10 to 20 years. Again, be smart in regards to how much you save when you are saving. The sooner you can get your money working hard for you, the better off you'll be in the long run. Another factor you need to throw into the mix is during retirement, can you build a fund that can at least be maintained or even grow over time, even if you're taking from it? Having a depleting fund will not last as long as a non-depleting fund. The big difference is, will the overall earning power of your portfolio be less each year you access it, then it's definitely a depleting portfolio. It's best to work into the equation on having a non-depleting fund. This way, you can always continue to grow it and keep pace with inflation or more. This will help to ensure that you'll never ever run out of capital. This may not be the optimistic situation for you though. What if you're 68 and you're male? The average life expectancy of a male in most first world countries is around 85 to 87 years of age. Saving for 40 years makes little sense if you're going to only enjoy 20 years of it. I believe that it's also good to leave something behind for your relatives or favorite charity. So you got to put that into the mix. Myself, I intend to work things out based on the fact that I'll die with my initial capital base completely intact. This way I can leave a good inheritance for my children. Next point, rate of return. What kind of rate of return do you hope to get? In today's markets, you can manage your own funds and get an easy 10 to 15% returns based upon solid exchange traded funds, also called ETFs. Now, a little disclaimer, things change over time, and these are like the new mutuals with a much lower costs. So I think they're a good option. But maybe in a couple of years, these aren't. And if you're watching the video a couple of years from now, do check out the markets to find out what's the best situation for you then. The thing to remember is your rate of return will be influenced by two aspects of your savings plan. First, while you're not taking from the fund and allowing the magic of compound interest to do its thing, you'll find that your funds will literally double in value every 5 years or so if you're getting a return rate of 14.4%. Yes, I know that's pretty optimistic, but it's a good figure to start with. So in my example, if you have the ability to allow $100,000 to grow for 10 years, it'll be worth $400,000 after those 10 years. That's because the 100 turns into 200 after 5 years, and then doubles again into 400 after the second 5 years. So that's very important to realize, as well as the true magic of compound interest. Continuing to contribute to that fund will also accelerate your efforts during this time. But personally, I've thought about it, and I think once I get to 200,000, which is I hope is in the next 6 months to a year, I'm considering to just let it ride, not contributing further to those funds over the next 10 years. And when I turn 71, that account could be worth as much as $800,000. During this time, I would consider working just hard enough to cover all my expenses. This would permit me to feel like I'm contributing to society, keeping my mind active, plus allowing the funds to grow because I'm not touching the growth. Maybe that's something you should also consider. I don't think it's a bad option. Tax considerations. It's important to take advantage of any accounts that provide tax sheltering effect on your money. In most first world countries, there are two popular tax sheltered accounts. First is the one where you can put funds in that are not taxed when they enter, but will be taxed when taken out. This is great because every dollar we're earning today at a higher tax rate will be completely saved in that fund. In Canada, this is called an RRSP, or a Registered Retirement Savings Plan. In the States, I believe that the equivalent is a 401k. Second is a tax-sheltered account that allows you to put in post-taxed funds into it, but anything taken out in the future is not considered income, thus completely tax exempt. In Canada, it's actually not considered income when you take it out. It's just cash that comes into your hand. This can be a very powerful form of savings. I do recommend to everyone I know to maximize how much you can put into this second type of account. In Canada, it's called a TFSA, or a tax-free savings account. In the States, again, I believe the equivalent is a Roth IRA. Especially in the States, if I have my facts correct, you need to contribute in the year you get the savings or you could lose it. Again, check your local laws to know what the exact rules you must follow. I do know in Canada, once you get the contribution room, you never lose it till you use it. But either way, the sooner you can invest through the second form of sheltered account, the longer you have time to earn that sweet investment gains. So be sure to take advantage of them as you obtain them. Pensions and other factors. In this point, I'm going to mention two things, but are both very important. Even though most government pension programs are not going to be too impressive, they can and do make a difference for you. For example, if you're turning 65 and decide to take your government pensions in Canada, you have three you can draw from. First is Canada Pension Plan, or CPP. Now, this is only permitted if you've contributed into it while you're working in Canada. Second is Old Age Security, or OAS. This is a given when you turn 65. You'll be receiving something, though it might not be much. And finally, there's something called the GIS, or Guaranteed Income Supplement. This is designed to help you top up to a certain retirement income level. Again, if you're only depending on these funds to retire on, or the equivalent in your country, you may be very disappointed. In my situation at 65, it'd be pretty amazing if I got $2,000 a month from all these plans wrapped up together. Now, when the cost of living, even in low-income situations, can easily be $3,000 or more per month, you can see it's going to be trying. But if it's to supplement your efforts and savings, that's when it can make a huge difference. In my situation, I estimate our needed net pay per month will need to be around $3,500 in optimal situations. If government pensions are providing even $1,500 per month, that leaves me $2,000 that I need to bring to the table to bridge the gap per month. If I'm getting 14% on my investments, but only take out 12% of that gain per year, just to let the other 2% to work towards inflationary growth, that means I'll need to take out $24,000 per year to top me up. Reversing that calculation of $24,000 that's generating at least 12% of the capital amount, I'll need to have a capital amount of at least $200,000. Now, remember, this isn't considering this extra 2%, so it will be higher considering that. But as you can see, it's a lot lower than 1.5 million. And granted, I'm considering optimal conditions in all aspects. But again, what a big difference from 1.5 million. Optimistically though, I do see that I'll need at least 670,000 with all the monkeying around with the numbers to have a non-depleting fund. Back to the initial thoughts of getting that 200,000 in place. To get that to 670,000, it would take me around 10 years to get there with a return rate of 12%. Again, this is considering no additional contributions to the funds from myself. So if I'm able to actually add to that fund during that time, it'll be even greater. So there you go. Not terribly cut and dried, I know, but I hope that you've given you good food for thought. Your situation could be completely different, and that's okay. Just think it through and don't be afraid to talk to others about your situation. For me, that's been magic. I've talked to others who are in retirement, who are out of retirement, who are considering retirement, and I get different points of view from different places in people's lives, and it's helped me draw a very vivid and clear picture of what retirement's going to look like. I don't even think it's a bad idea to consult with a retirement specialist to get an outside opinion, but I always recommend that you know exactly where your money is doing and where it's going. This is vital. Don't leave this one to chance. I see it happen all the time where people leave it to chance and discover that they're going to run short. That's not good. Finally, do consider having a small reservoir of cash as an emergency fund, even into retirement. This way, when the emergency happens, you got the cash to handle it. Not considering divorce, this is the number one thing that can derail your retirement plans, in my opinion, and the stats prove it. Expensive emergencies don't go away because you've retired. If you're saving towards retirement, there's a ton of other things you can do to maximize how much you save today. But from today's discussions, what do you think you will need? Are there other factors that we need to consider? I'd love to hear what your opinions are, so be sure to leave them in the comments. Either way, you need to pull out the stops and start saving as much as you can. As a matter of fact, there's a video showing up on the screen right now that's going to show you 5 easy money saving tips you can deploy today to save even more. So be sure to check it out. And as always, thank you for dropping by, and hopefully I've given you something to think about. I'll see you soon. Cheers.